It's Toby. It's Toby.
Yo, okay, welcome back to the N.y.a show. Checking in with everybody. Hope that everyone has had a safe, blessed week. Highlight of my week had to be the start of the week on Sunday, baby. Church family really looked out for me when it came to my son. A lot of things I brought home to my son. That was the best part of the week so far. I hope that you guys have had a lovely week. Please drop it down in the comments and be sure that you continue to support the show. The last show that I did was about the U.S. and Africa, of different countries, Angola, different countries in Africa that were going to be working together, hopefully, for this railway to run on smooth on over, come on over here, coming to the East Coast, bring that freight over to the East Coast, coming from the heart of Africa. So that was my last story. Be sure that you guys check that out, as well as I put up a short about it was like a short I edited it. It's like an edited video around it. Please be sure that you check that one out too. It was about me in a military helicopter. Please be sure that you check that one out as well. And then the man attached the cops with the machete. Be sure that you go like, share, subscribe. And then the Indianapolis man that was found in Planet Fitness Tambe. Those were the last couple of shows that I did. So please be sure that you extend some support to those shows, share them out, like, comment, all those great things as we continue to move through the week. It's been a crazy the Thursday, just to timestamp myself. It's been a crazy Thursday, just with everything that's been going on throughout the week. Started with Jay-Z in the news, going out bad. That was a good look, but came through. That was Monday. Then here we are. I woke up. The Remy and Papoose not looking good. So media news is, I'm pretty sure, is pretty heated right now. Spirit Arrested is an award-winning short film that was put together by W3. Filmed it, available here on YouTube for you to like, share, subscribe. Please do all of those things. This film, of course, as you know, stars my beautiful wife. The links will be in the comment section below, per usual, as well as How a Mother is Balancing Life in Pursuit of Dreams, an interview with actor Breyonna and by Ajay Tambe, which is available on Spotify. Please be sure that you guys head over to Spotify and check that out. Now, let's go get into the story for this week about police illegally selling restricted vehicles, supplying crime. The story came out on the 4th of December, not current event, but it is current because it was just overlooked. Just in case you missed it, I knew I wanted to come and do this one, and the video is pretty much going to break it all down, and we'll talk over it a little bit. But please be sure that it's everything that we think that it is. So let's go ahead and get this. Get my sound right.
A CBS News investigation found dozens of law enforcement leaders buying and illegally selling guns. A review of government audits and court records over the last 20 years uncovered instances in 23 states.
Records over the last 20 years, and of course, Georgia is on there, one of the states.
States across the U.S., plus Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., for a total of more than 50 cases. And people who were supposed to protect and serve were selling these high-powered guns and making a steep profit. Erin Couchy, who led this reporting, is here with me in Studio 57. She's a producer for CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. Erin, this is so mind-boggling that these high-ranking officers...
Oh, not the Adidas.
are getting these guns, and then they're selling them to criminals. In essence, the law enforcement officers are criminals themselves.
Right. So the key is that these weapons are usually deemed too dangerous to be on the street. So they're using their access as law enforcement officials to gain access to things that otherwise wouldn't be on the market. They're saying we need this for our official duties to serve and protect, but actually they're secretly turning around
So
and they're selling.
they're buying them because they're law enforcement officials, or they're requesting them? Tell me more.
It runs the gamut. So there were 50 cases all across the country, and there were different ways they got it. Sometimes they stole it out of the inventory. Sometimes they were their issued weapons by the department. In the most egregious cases, there were battlefield weapons, and that requires them to go to federal regulators, ask for special permission to gain access to them. And just to give you a sense of what kind of weapons these are.
Now, it's some people that have those guns that are taking them out there to the great wild woods, and they is laying shit down. You got other niggas that's just out there in the fields, and they just shooting off shit what that motherfucker can do. But then there's that category of people that do exactly what y'all think that they do.
These could take out an armored tank. They could go through a building at the other side, hit a target 18 football fields away. They can take out a military helicopter. That's an example from a real case. We found an Iowa police chief in a 3-person police department. Town was the population of less than 800. And he had requested over the course of 4 years 90 machine guns to get access to. He'd gotten approval. It took until he requested a Gatling-style machine gun that spewed 6,000 rounds a minute for federal regulators to say there's something fishy going on and starting to look into it. He's now serving a 5-year prison sentence, but he's totally unremorseful about it. He just says it's a business. It's not illegal to sell things in this country, and he's appealing his sentence because he just doesn't think it's a crime.
Oh, this is a lot to take in, Erin. And when I'm looking through all of this material, I'm seeing here that your team also uncovered social media posts where the buyers are talking about how they got the officers to sell weapons. Tell me more about
You already know on those different chat rooms, everything, they let them know exactly how they could get in touch with my uncle.
that.
So when you're talking about machine guns, you do have to go to the federal regulation because there's been an outright ban in the United States since 1986. No one can have access to them. The one exception is official government use. So they go to federal regulators, but all you need is a letter. It's functionally a permission slip. A police chief signs a letter saying, I need this for department use. So there's literally do-it-yourself videos on social media explaining there's online web forums, and it just comes down to relationships. There's some guys who said, I know a police chief, I know a sheriff, I know a SWAT guy. They just take turns signing these letters for me, and they make it like it's all for fun. Some of these guys just think it's fun to like literally mount it on an armored tank and just shoot it off into a field. And a lot of the guys is totally innocent, and that's what they do. But the problem is there are cases where they've ended up in the hands of criminals. So they've ended up with drug traffickers, they've ended up with arms dealers. There was a case where a police chief, a mayor, and a town it was a member of the town council were trafficking guns and tactical gear to a Mexican cartel. There was a case just last year where they all ended up pleading guilty. It was 2 police chiefs, a sheriff, a Delta Force veteran, all conspiring together with a sanctioned Russian arms dealer, and they ended up in the hands of an international gun trafficker. Again, all of that ended up pleading guilty, so we know for sure that they were doing that. And then there was a case in the Northeast where it ended up being used in a fatal gang shooting of a 14-year-old boy who was just standing at a high school football game and accidentally got shot. So most of the cases don't end up in those egregious situations, but they certainly have and do. And these.
Yeah, I guess that was my thing too. Of course, when you're doing the story, you're talking about things like this. It's not to say that this is the overall way of how things are going down. 100% of the time, we're just honestly just trying to be accountable and say, damn, for the other instances when shit doesn't go the way that people planned it to go, those are what happens. People just end up losing their life, or the government guns end up on the street.
These are law enforcement officials.
And arguably, that's the whole reason why they're supposed to have these permission slips, because once they get out into the public, then they're uncontrolled, then you don't know where they're going to go next. But I'm also seeing here that there's some former ATF agents that you spoke with that said that they were reluctant actually to charge these officers who sold the weapons. What's going on with that?
So we spoke to about 6 agents who were the lead investigators on some of these cases, and the officers themselves were the ones the federal agents were the ones who were actually really frustrated with this. They wanted to bring these cases, but they each had an anecdote about how they'd had to go to the department they had caught doing this, who had been doing it repeatedly, almost like as a course of business, that they were getting these guns just for the express purpose of selling them, even though they were supposed to be their department weapons. And they just had to say, I'm letting you off with a warning. Prosecutors are generally reluctant to try these cases, according to them.
So it's the prosecutors, not the ATF.
It's a little bit of both. So they say the prosecutors don't really want to do it because the sentences are very light. Most of these cases, people make plea deals. They serve less than a year, just a few months in jail. But we got an ATF memo from a few years ago that described this as a growing trend. That was in 2017, and most of the cases we found actually have happened since then. So it seems to be, it's hard to tell if it's happening more often or they're actually just going after it a little bit more now. But the memo said it's our job to educate, not investigate. And I actually tracked down the senior agent who had written that memo, and he said, we generally take the posture, we don't question our law enforcement partners. So our partners, we're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, and it's really only in the very, very egregious cases that we actually pursue. So when they've gotten many, many warnings, when we've traced them directly to a crime, and that's when you start to see charges. So the more than 50 cases, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more out there that all these agents are saying, oh yeah, I said, how do I look that up in the court docket? You're not going to see anything.
Fascinating reporting. Erin Couchy, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
You can find Erin's full investigation into law enforcement illegally selling weapons on our website, cbsnews.com.
Yo, but like I said, my biggest thing is what happens when the guns end up in the wrong people's hands, man. And it's nothing that we didn't already know. I just found it interesting when I came across the story. It's like, oh shit, this is a whole story. This lady who said, excuse me. And I read through the the whole story that we have here too. But out of a lot of different occasions, there's guns that end up in the hands of crime scenes. Let's see, nearly 26,000 guns were traced from American crime scenes back to a government agency, law enforcement, or the military between 2017 and 2021. The most recently available data, according to a report by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So that is definitely something that you should be aware of. You know what I'm saying? Just as you walk in every day down the street, you worry about somebody keeping us and having it on them. At the same time, the gun is getting on them just based off of these type of sales that's happening. Everybody doing this is all related to money. People not getting enough money, so they resort to doing things like this because they had the privilege able to. Just like there's somebody who's working at a certain place and they selling the food out of it on the side on the low. They're not supposed to be doing that. Everybody's gonna take advantage to try to get some extra money on the side. It even goes in the gun. So let me know what y'all thoughts on this story. It's the N.y.a show. Once again, let's get back to our title. Police illegally sell restricted weapons, supplying crime. So let me know what y'all thoughts on the story coming from CBS. It's the N.y.a show. Appreciate y'all continued support. And I'll be back again. Right back again with another N.y.a show. I appreciate y'all.